Yay. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
We have visitors on Instagram. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. We're about to start in a couple of minutes.
Let me move this closer to you. There we go. You excited for the conversation, Patty?
Say that again.
Are you excited for the conversation?
I'm more than happy and excited. I just can't wait to see your answers. I have so many questions. Michael, whenever you're ready, you let me know, because I do want to start on time. I don't know how long these recordings last, because on Instagram, I do know it's only 45 minutes.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready.
Yes, we can go ahead and get started. So I'll hand it off to you, Patty.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for letting me do this today with you. My name is Patty Sesma, and I am the Marketing and Communications Director for the Austin Urban Technology Movement. I'm very proud and very, very honored and privileged to be the person today who's going to be interviewing / moderating this talk with Michael. We have very good and powerful questions, so I can't wait to start. But please, anyone who's connected here, please don't hesitate to send over questions through our chat, and we'll be adding those to our conversation. So, Michael, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So I want to give a little bit of background about your I want to talk a little bit about your background. So before I present you, I'm very happy to share this talk with Michael Ward Jr. He is currently the President and Chief Executive Officer, the CEO for the Austin Urban Technology Movement. Michael Ward Jr., sorry about that, is a social entrepreneur focusing on technology and socioeconomic development. Michael is currently, like I just mentioned, our CEO in the AUTM movement, and sits on a few boards through Central Texas, focusing on STEM and workforce development. So thank you so much for doing this, Michael. I'm pretty sure that we're going to get some good questions, and let's kick it up. Very, very first thing, do you want to say anything before we start?
Sure, I really appreciate that, Patty. Very excited to have you on the team and doing the work that we're doing here at AUTM. Before we get started, I just want to share that the whole reason behind AUTM Talks is because we're looking to showcase the work that we're doing to increase diversity inside the tech industry and ultimately reshape what the tech ecosystem looks like here in Austin and even across the globe. So throughout this conversation, if you have questions, please put them inside the chat, because we do a lot of different things. But I want to make sure that we address them to show y'all how everything is connected to the work that we're doing. So Patty, I'll hand it back to you.
Perfect, Michael. We're going to start with a very, very basic question that I would love for you to share in your own words and making it very, very simple for everyone to understand. What exactly does AUTM stands for?
Yeah, so AUTM is Austin Urban Technology Movement. And the main focus that we have is to connect our communities, those that are most vulnerable right now, which are Black and Hispanic, inside the tech industry, in order to provide them with opportunities with what they should be doing inside the tech industry and what those opportunities are. Unfortunately, we are not providing enough exposure or enough understanding to where the future jobs are inside our market. And we want to make sure that we're providing individuals with those opportunities by starting with those that may not have the same access, same understanding, may not be able to adopt to the same flexibility that we would like them to, in order to really allow them to benefit from being inside the tech industry, given the many different opportunities that are there, both technical and non-technical. So AUTM is addressing the lack of diversity inside the tech industry and addressing the skills gap inside the tech industry, so we can provide a better future and a better quality of life for our communities.
That sounds great. So can we say that that's exactly what the mission is?
Oh, yeah. Our mission, if I want to speak for it verbatim, is to bridge the gap between the Black and Hispanic communities and the tech industry through job placement, career development, and networking opportunities. So we're looking at the entire issue and realizing that we can't just focus on recruiting and think that's going to solve the issue. We can't just focus on workforce development and think that's going to solve the issue. We really need to think about the lack of diversity in the tech industry being a multi-layered problem that therefore requires a multi-layered solution. So we're looking to connect, make those bridges, and remove any barriers that makes it difficult for our communities to get inside the tech industry. And yes, we prioritize the Black and Hispanic community because they're most in need. But the AUTM community, we have about 15% of our population is white, about 13% of our population is Asian, and the majority of our communities are Black and Hispanic. But the work that we're doing is not just for those communities, because everyone is benefiting from our programming, from our events, from the cohorts that we have right now. Everyone is seeing the impact once you come together and really have one common goal that we could begin to move mountains together.
Of course. I mean, I understand if there's any other person who wants to join or wants to get involved, we are always welcoming every single person who wants to join the cause, right? Michael, this is a question that actually I'm thinking of by hearing the mission of the organization. What exactly are the challenges that AUTM faces, like, consistently? What exactly is something that if that specific challenge could be avoided, we could maybe flow better and just help more people?
I laugh at this because I think the biggest challenge is that we talk so much. We spend a lot of time just talking about the problem, talking about solutions, but not enough time implementing what needs to be done for our communities. We don't spend a lot of time actually executing on the solutions that we've spent time doing research and understanding in order to solve the problem. So the biggest challenge is breaking down silos, stop doing so much research on problems, and being okay with failing, figuring out what works, fix what works, and then being able to move from there to improve what we're doing. So the biggest challenge on our side is finding the right individuals, the right partners, the right entities that want to actually solve the problem versus just check off different initiatives that they should be doing because it looks good for the community or looks good for their own reputation.
So being more specific, how exactly, I mean, what is AUTM doing kind of like in a practical way to fix the problem? How is AUTM eliminating the skills gap in technology? What are the actions that the organization is taking in order to accomplish this?
Sure, that's a great question. And when AUTM first started back in 2016, our first focus was around connecting individuals that had experience, that had degrees, with potential job opportunities, with hiring managers, with hiring companies. That's where our main focus was. We wanted to make sure that the individuals that had the skills and experience were just connected with the opportunities through our events. And our events had a combination of either career development opportunities, such as resume building, mock interviews, etc. But then we also had conversations around tech trends and diversity, equity, and inclusion trends inside the tech space so that we can leverage the expertise of the employers inside the space. Since then, we have kind of evolved away from not just focusing on recruiting, but also focusing on workforce development, because we realized that there's just not enough individuals in our community that actually are interested and have the expertise to enter the tech industry. So if we were to hire, all the Black and Hispanic individuals with the skills, with the experience inside the tech industry, we will still have millions and millions of jobs available inside the tech industry. So it's not just a lack of diversity that's an issue inside the tech industry. It's also a lack of opportunities and lack of training that is needed for our communities so that they are interested to actually fill those jobs. So outside of recruiting, we also focus significantly around workforce development to train and develop our communities for the jobs that are available right now here in Central Texas, but also the jobs that are coming and the jobs that are looking to expand across the globe when it comes down to the tech industry. So we focus a lot on recruiting or job placement, focus a lot on workforce development, but then last but not least, the ecosystem, right? Building the community so individuals know where to go for trends related to technology. Now we know where the in-demand skills are for technology. We know what are the companies that are hiring. We know what the average salary are based on the occupations that you're interested in and what is the overall trajectory for you to get there, whether it's apprenticeships, certificates, certifications, getting a degree. Like AUTM has the answer. We know exactly what we need to do for individuals in order to get there. And we know that in order for you to get to the next job or to build your network, It's all about who do you know. So a lot of our events provide opportunities for people to network, for people to engage with another, find your founder, find your sponsor, right? Find your mentor, find people in the Autumn community, in the Austin the community that is also working towards moving and engaging themselves inside the tech industry. So we focus on job placement, we focus on workforce development, and we also focus on building that social capital for our community.
So let's say that there is this individual who's actually interested in just starting a career in technology, and he may be Hispanic. Let's say English is not his or her first language. And if this person hears about this organization, Autumn, I mean, if it was me, I would get really excited. Like, this is exactly what I need to kind of like start a new career and have a better income and have a better future, right? Mm-hmm. So if I am this person, how can I start all the process? What's the steps that I need to take in order to contact you or the organization or whoever is in charge, and kind of guide me into what training I need to take, how long does it take, how soon or how fast I'm going to be working on something that is more related to technology?
Sure. So there's two main ways that we would engage with individuals. The number one way for those that do have access to the internet is to go on our website. You could go in our Get Trained section, and we have a list of steps for you to go through in order to find out about our programs, see what some of the options are, and see where you want to start. That's for individuals that have access to the internet, right? We're on our website, we're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it. We try our best to be as accessible as we can. But at the same time, we know not everybody have access to the internet. So a lot of the work that we do is through partnerships, right? We engage with organizations and institutions in the community that are working with the same exact audiences that we're looking to serve. So, we engage with ACC, and we've done several different events through ACC's Career and Services Department in order to open up their communities or their students to work we're doing. I also sit on the board for a UT Engineering School in order to engage with their students and their learners to what we're doing and see if there's a fit for them. Outside of that, we also engage with organizations and fellow 501c3s, such as American Youth Works, Austin Freenet, and really engaging with individuals that want to benefit or leverage our programming. And mind you, we're not looking to reinvent the wheel. What we want to do is to plug into what's already working, add more value to what may be missing from there, and being able to scale those opportunities. So we're either reaching out to individuals on a one-on-one basis through our website, or we're engaging with them through partnerships, such as with organizations, other institutions, in order to really create the ecosystem that people need.
Okay, it sounds like a very easy way to be able to engage with the organization and just start like taking action on a better future. And what if I am an employer and I'm very, very interested in speaking to the organization and maybe offering employment or learning about the candidates that you maybe are preparing or training? How does that work for them?
Yeah, the easiest way is to send an email to contact@autmtx.org. We also have it on a website in the contact section on the tab or the header tab. We're able to submit more information. But ultimately, reach out. We'll have a conversation. We'll talk and we'll see what's fit. Because right now we have a lot of great partners and we're building the workforce development ecosystem to solve this problem. And we're all about figuring out where do people fit, right? Whether your interest is more so on recruiting, great, let's talk. Maybe you focus on workforce development. Great, let's talk. Maybe you want to focus more so on retention and employee engagement. Great, let's talk, right? Autumn is looking at the entire issue with inside the tech industry, and we have engaged with employers, depending on where they are, in order to add them to the ecosystem so that we can ultimately address the lack of diversity and eliminate the skills gap inside the tech space.
Okay, that's very interesting. And like you mentioned, it's something that it's basically in the tip of your hand, because everything, like all the answers are on the website basically. Yeah. And I learned that you guys we are updating the website soon, and maybe we're gonna make it more accessible on mobile, and it's gonna be way easier, right?
Yeah, and please be patient with us, everybody. Like, by any means, we're not perfect, and I never want to give off the impression that we're imperfect, but we know how to solve the problem. Whatever we've came across, we have adapted, we have evolved, and that's one of the greatest things about being a tech and nonprofit startup is that you're not afraid to fail, you're not afraid to see what works, but you're out there to solve the problem. And there's been so many partnerships that we have created and have evolved over time because we realize what we need to do in order to solve the problem collectively. So I thank you all for the work that you've done, because many individuals have volunteered with Autumn, have engaged with Autumn, have been rocking with us since 2016. So thank you so much for what y'all are doing as well, because everybody has a role to play in order to address this problem.
I feel very proud to say that as a person from outside of the organization, I can tell that I feel like there is a lot of individuals looking for this. It's like a genie on the bottle. To me, Autumn is like a genie on the bottle for these individuals who are, again, looking into changing their future or their career path. But at the same time, I know that there are other companies that are looking into hiring interns and sometimes just employees that actually want to build a career with their companies. So I feel like we are the perfect connection for these entities, right?
Yeah, and one of the biggest challenges is that there's a disconnect between where employers are showcasing their opportunities and where students / learners / individuals most in need go to actually receive those opportunities, right? A lot of times employers or organizations, even for that matter, we're casting information kind of into a void that no one is able to actually access because of their environment or where they are. So we have to go above and beyond to, we have to go above and beyond to make sure that we are engaging with individuals in multiple aspects so that they actually can receive the information. Autumn never believes that if we have one conversation with someone that's going to change their life forever. No. Like that's not the goal. The goal is to have consistent engagements with individuals by allowing them to be involved in the culture, be involved in the community, and then begin to see where do they fit inside the Autumn ecosystem. So that when individuals are looking for internships, looking for any type of part-time job, looking for full-time jobs, looking for mentorship opportunities, looking for volunteering, they can come to Autumn, right? So we connect a lot of the resources that employers already have. Right. A lot of employers already have internships. They already have apprenticeships. They already have full-time jobs, but they're just not marketed to our audience. They're just not exposed to our audience. So I, shout out to Oracle for letting me start my career inside the tech industry, because now I have relationships with tech companies and continue to build on those relationships with tech companies so that we can remove the barriers and make it easier for that high school student that's looking for an intern, right? Or that college student that's looking for their first job. Right now, Autumn, we have 8 interns from the city of Austin right now that we have been engaging with us. And all 8 of the interns are going through our Automite program and also getting on-the-job experience through our departments. So, we are a living proof of the work that we're doing for the community and being able to open up as many opportunities as we can for our community members, especially with the fact that more and more companies, more and more initiatives are being expanded here in Austin for everybody.
That is very interesting, Michael. So you talk a lot about the Autumn ecosystem. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. So the Autumn ecosystem is what we're really looking at into what we need to do to solve the problem. So I stated earlier, back in 2016, we started with recruiting or job placement, whatever aspect you're looking at the problem. But we wanted to connect our individuals that had skills, experience. They were top notch. They had all the bells and whistles. They check off all the boxes for tech companies. We wanted to connect them with those opportunities so they can actually get hired and go through the interview process. That is what the ultimate goal was. However, we realized that if that was the only thing that we did, that we would ultimately not be able to address the problem. It would take way too long to fill all these seats. It'll be way too long to move generations out of poverty and into the tech industry. So therefore, we realized that we really needed to look at the entire problem and figure out the pieces that we need to put into place in order to solve those problems. And one of the main things is we have to break down silos. We need to bring in institutions. So we work with ACC, we work with UT, we work with HT, not as much as I would like to, but we work with HT as well from an institution side, right? Because institutions are what's needed because they represent a large amount of the body of the audiences that we're looking to serve. But institutions is just one piece of the puzzle, right? Institutions need to connect with employers. So employers, we have employer partners, right? We have Microsoft, we have Google, we have National Instruments, we work with IBM. So there's several employer partners that we're working with to provide jobs, to provide mentorship opportunities and to also engage in our programming with our Automites. So we have institutions and we have employers. Those are only two pieces of our workforce development ecosystem that we're building. We also have organizations. Those are fellow 501c3s, just like Autumn. So shout out to American Youth Works. Shout out to Austin Freenet. Shout out to Austin Area Urban League, right? These are other 501c3s that are inside the workforce development space that is doing some work that is similar to Autumn, complements Autumn, aligns with Autumn. And we're saying, great, let's work together to have a deeper impact. We're now looking to train 200 people. We're looking to train 2 million people. So how do we go from 200 to 2 million by ourselves? You can't do that. You have to work in an ecosystem with partners in order to build and grow. So we have institutions, we have employers, we have organizations, but then we also have governmental agencies, such as the City of Austin. We do great work with the City of Austin, the Digital Inclusion Office, or the Terra Office, I should say. Shout out to them, to the work that they're doing in their community through their PCP program. There's a lot of work that's going on in the ecosystem to bring people together and align governmental agencies and initiatives with those of organizations, employers, and institutions is how we build the ecosystem inside this space. And last but not least, individual contributors. This right here is what we need to do for our community, is because individual contributors play such a huge role in actually continuing the process, right? We need individual contributors in order to volunteer, to become mentors, in order to showcase their own story, right? How did you get started inside the tech industry? What is it that you're doing? And can I do the same thing? So when I think about and talk about the workforce development ecosystem, the Autumn ecosystem is bringing together all the individuals and entities that represent institutions, organizations, employers, governmental agencies, and individuals contributors.
Okay, so in a nutshell, tell me if this is the right thing, the right way to see the whole organization. If I am an individual, you guys offer workforce, or you touch on workforce, population in needs, and students, right?
Yep, and also, anyone who's looking to get to that next level. So yes.
Okay, and as with institutions and organizations, they offer resources and wrap around services, correct?
Correct.
Do you want to tell me more about it? If it's a government or institution, they offer funding, policies, resources, initiatives, correct?
Yeah. So for example, working with Workforce Solutions, right? So we just launched a partnership with the Workforce Solutions to get 10,000 individuals out of poverty, right? Workforce Solutions is one of the largest workforce development convening bodies. So Workforce Solutions bring in many different organizations, many different training providers, and help support in their cause and what they're trying to do. So through Workforce Solutions, they can either offer services for daycare, they can offer transportation, they can help with devices, right? Depending on your situation, they may help with clothes if you need to go for in-person interview, right? They provide resources to help individuals that are going through training programs, very similar with United Way ATX, which is another one of our partners. Right, United Way ATX, they also provide different resources for individuals depending on where their need is and what they need in order to get to the next level. So when we think about wraparound services, it's being able to address the needs of the community, whether it's food insecurity, housing, transportation, daycare, mental health, whatever they need in order to actually accomplish workforce development and get trained. But then once they get trained and now they're inside the tech industry, now how does that individual person becomes more successful inside the tech industry? Because workforce development is just a piece of it, right? But now once they're in the industry and they're successful, now how do they thrive, right? How do they continue to move up with inside the tech industry based on the experience that they have? And that's how they come back into the Autumn ecosystem through mentorship, through volunteering, to telling their story so they can continue to move on to the next level of their career.
I like that. I really like how you explain it. And the last thing is employers help us by offering jobs, resources, and funding as well. I just wanted to complete that. So, Michael, how exactly, and I think you may have mentioned it right now, but I want you to be more specific on this question. How exactly does Autumn is increasing diversity in the tech industry?
Sure. So one of the partnerships I'll talk about is just with Microsoft, right? So we received the community skills grant through Microsoft in order for us to train and develop the community. We have a partnership with Workforce Solutions in order to move 10,000 individuals outside of poverty. So we connect the dots. So right now we have over 50 individuals going through our training program. We have donated over 275 computers throughout the community. And we have assisted with the community members receiving over 15,000 computers, whether it's families or students through Austin Independent School District. So when we think about the tech industry, a piece of it is access to technology, right? So internet devices. The second piece is giving them training and development if they need it in order to engage with the tech industry. But then last but not least is making sure that they are aware of the opportunities and the trends and the benefits of the tech industry. Because a lot of our time and energy is spent on, software developing or cybersecurity, which is fantastic. But there's also IoT, there's also quantum computing, there's also blockchain, right? There's so much more to the tech industry that we really want to open up our communities to.
Okay. Tell me exactly what the definition of digital equality is.
Sure. So digital equity is providing access for individuals to anything related to the technology industry. And a lot of focus is digital literacy. A lot of our focus is making sure that individuals have good quality access to the internet, because I live here in Maynard. And one of the things that I do not like about Maynard, unfortunately, is the quality of internet. The quality of internet here at 1,000 megabits is not as good, not as strong, not as powerful as 50 megabits in Central Austin. Or right in the heart of Central Austin, where I used to live, about 10, 15 minutes away from UT, no internet problems, no issues whatsoever. Now I'm in Maynard, in somewhat of a rural area, and the connectivity here is significantly worse than being closer to the city. And that is when we mean about digital equity. It's not just access to the internet, but it's access to quality internet and having the strength that you need to have a stable connection, right? As I have this, I'm really hoping and praying that I don't have any connectivity issues throughout this video, because I know what it's like. And I can only imagine for other individuals that have it worse off. So when I'm in East Austin and I'm traveling around and I'm trying to use my GPS or go on social media, the connectivity is just not as strong as if I'm in the heart of downtown, or if I'm next to UT, or if I'm in Central Austin. And, I have lived experience about the challenges of just being able to connect to the internet, being able to connect to a signal. And if you are not able to connect, it just slows down your efficiency. It slows down your process of what you're trying to do, because now you're trying to worry about whether or not you can watch a video or have stable connection. So digital equity is really providing the resources for individuals to access, adopt, and understand the technology so they can move forward with their life.
Oh my God. I think that it's an aggressive dream, but I think that if we're able to accomplish, it's going to be just a big thing. Just to have, actually talk to me a little bit about this. I know that Autumn just started an initiative that is called Technology for All, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So last year, March timeframe is when it really started for us, is that we were on the cusp of getting into workforce development, but then we realized that in order for us to actually train the number of people that we're looking to train, that we have to address a lot of the barriers that are being impacted as well. So we have a lot of partnerships around either housing or food insecurity and mental health, and that's another conversation. But the where Autumn really comes in is around the tech access, right? It's about internet access and devices. So last year, because we realized that COVID has closed the businesses, closed schools, it forced individuals and students to go home and to learn remotely. However, not every student had the privilege of having connectivity. Not every student had the privilege of having a device. Not even every adult had the privilege of having a device to work remotely from their job if they had to. So our Texas Technology for All initiative is to push beyond Austin, is to really think about, Texas as a state and saying that we need to provide better opportunities for our communities that are low income, underserved, and underrepresented in order to access the internet, in order to understand the digital literacy and to have the devices that they need to continue with their career. So what we're really looking at is the connection between education, workforce development for our community, and saying that there is no different. We need to provide internet access devices for the entire state of Texas. So the 4.1 million people that are in poverty are no longer in poverty. So the 1 out of 3 households that don't have internet access actually has internet access, so that we can begin to be innovative and really become, a smart city or a smart country across Texas. So when we think about the Texas Technology for All initiative, is really pushing forth that our community members have the resources that they need to be successful in today's digital economy. Everything is online, or everything is moving online, and we need to be able to adapt and accommodate with that wave of technology moving to the internet and what that means for everybody.
That's very interesting. And actually, it takes me to a question that someone is asking us. His name is Lalo. Hola, Lalo. He's asking why diversity is valued more than competency. That's a very good question.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I would say I'm not sure that one is valued more so than the other, but it's looking at that right now we are hiring individuals that have several different skill sets. So if everybody have this skill sets, then why do we have lack of numbers that are represented of those individuals? So we're looking at X amount of individuals looking to hire from one community. Well, are you also targeting hiring from that community as well? Because there's plenty of individuals that could do the job. And if they're not able to do the job, well, let's talk about where you're hiring from. Let's talk about that, because ultimately the issue isn't in the individual, but the training that they have. So from our standpoint, with the employers that we connect with, they're not looking not to hire diverse candidates. They just can't find them. Right? Where they recruit from is predominantly from HBCUs. They predominantly recruit from, job boards, but job boards are heavily saturated with the majority. And the majority right now in America is predominantly white. So if you're going to a place to source candidates, but the place you're going to source is predominantly white, well, then the application you're going to get are predominantly white as well. So employers are starting to realize that they just need to change where they're sourcing talent from. And they also need to change the way that they go about recruiting, because education itself creates barriers for people, or it can create barriers for individuals depending on where they are. So I wouldn't say that one is more so valued than the other. It's just so that when we think about competency, we have not really thought about diversity as much. And that's where the conversation comes into play.
I agree. That's a really good answer. We have another question from Suzanne Milea. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Susan, thank you for sending your question. She's asking, how is Autumn working to ensure the governor's plan to use federal state funds for broadband addresses equity issues?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's a lot to unpack there. So we could definitely talk more about it offline. There's a lot that we're doing, but the things that I would share is, number one, we're part of the Greater Austin STEM ecosystem. The Greater Austin STEM ecosystem has an action team that focuses predominantly on legislation that is connected to STEM in any way, shape, or form. So whether that's broadband access, whether that is STEM education, whether that's access to technology or internet, anything focused on STEM related initiatives or policies, the STEM ecosystem addresses those, and Autumn is a member of the Greater Austin STEM ecosystem. So that's one thing there. Secondly, I meet with the Terra office and the digital inclusion team to talk about strategies around legislation and what we can do. How can we best adopt them? What are some things that we can push in order to engage with our communities and make sure that they are able to benefit from these opportunities? We have personally shared opportunities around the FCC, so individuals can, in order to benefit from those and apply from them so they can get the funding. And then we also have recently engaged with Spectrum. So we're working with Spectrum so that Autumn can be can be a sponsor or representative for individuals that are needing internet access. Because beforehand, when we will send individuals to links, Sometimes they may not know how to navigate that, and they can be confusing, or they may get lost. So we decided to become a client on the record in order to engage with Spectrum, so then we can provide that value for our community members instead of directing them to those links. So we've done quite a few different things. We've also testified at the Capitol around broadband access in order for us to provide, in order to be an influencer into where things go based on the needs of the community and the needs assessment that we have. So we try our best to make as much noise as we can and engage with individuals and entities that are addressing those issues, such as the Greater Austin STEM ecosystem, such as the City of Austin and the Digital Inclusion Office and what they're doing. But then there's also Digital Texas, the Digital Coalition of Texas. We're also part of that coalition that have really pushed for where broadband is actually housed and adopted within Central Texas. So quite a different things that we have going on in order for us to best leverage those funds. But even what the government says, it will be spread out towards organization and entities, and an organization and entities may have their own way of leveraging those funds. Autumn is also having those types of conversations.
So actually, we got a response as well from Frank Rodriguez, and he's sharing that the recent American Rescue Plan Act offers resources for closing the technology gap. It's the city, county, and others providing resources towards this in terms of impacting the equity issues.
Yeah, so we have submitted several proposals on city, state, local level about the work that we're doing, right? And when I say the work that Autumn is doing, it's not just Autumn, right? We have several different partnerships with different entities that are also doing this work, and wherever Autumn is, our partners are as well, because we're not looking to solve this problem by ourselves, right? Like I said, it's a big issue, right? And we're just looking to bring people together in order to solve these goals together.
I love how you stress so much in saying that Autumn actually joined forces with other either organizations or entities that are also very interested in solving this problem. And that, to me, is the only way to achieve big things. So, Michael, you have touched a lot on finding jobs and helping people, and also kind of like be a resource for employers as well. But talk to me a little bit about what happens with the individuals, for example, that actually are interested in learning, getting trained, and starting a career in the tech industry for entrepreneurship.
So for entrepreneurship, I really get excited because a lot of people believe that we just train individuals to get jobs. And yes, that's a piece of what we do, but we're teaching individual skills, right? Mm-hmm. So if individuals are learning skills, or if someone comes to us and they're going through our computer science program, well, that individual person doesn't necessarily have to go and get a job, right? That individual could create a product, create a service. They could create their own business with the skill sets that they're learning. So right now we've had several different conversations around developing an entrepreneurship track around technology, right? And what does that mean for us to build tech startups through skills development? So right now what Autumn is doing, we're really looking at what are the skills that our communities need to learn. And those skills right now, the ones that are top in demand are software developing, anything around software engineering, cybersecurity, CompTIA, and IT support. If I want to throw in a sixth, I could say data science if I want to. Those are where the technical in demand skills are right now. And we want to be able to develop individuals that have mastered those skills so that we can begin to then diversify and go into IoT. Let's go into AI. Let's go into blockchain, because these are the emerging technologies that are coming out. And with a good foundation of existing or more known technologies, we can begin to see an influx of tech companies that are being built. And we're here in Austin. So we're definitely in a great position in order to do that. There's several organizations or several companies that are working on entrepreneurship. And I'm an entrepreneur myself, right? I run a 501c3. And it's so interesting to see the growth that we've had over the years and to see what the future has for us and what we're doing. So when we think about entrepreneurship, it's really about creating that freedom for individuals and giving them the skill sets to go ahead and be the control over their life, right? So if they want to work for a great company, great, go do that, right? And engage. But then if you want to create your own products, create your own services, you could do that too, all within inside the tech industry. So, we spend a lot of time, removing the barriers and removing the structures that society has created when we think about the tech industry, and allowing people to really think that, oh, okay, I could create a business at the tech industry, or I could work for a company, or I can, not do anything technical and just be sales inside the technology, right? I could work at Oracle in sales and still be part of the tech industry. So a lot of what we do is we just breaking down those myths and open up opportunities for individuals inside the space.
That's great. And Michael, and you touch on, okay, we know that these individuals are learning skills so they can, again, change the future or just start in the tech industry. And I think this is very, more than like selling the idea that we're gonna train you for a specific position. I love the fact that it's more about we're gonna upskill your professional side, and you're gonna be able to reach your dreams in a way, because people are gonna basically look into joining or training on something specific that they maybe are really wanting to just launch or endeavor. Please tell me, Michael, you touched on COVID as well, and last year was crazy for everyone. I always say that last year should have been a stage in our lives in which we grew like over force, because we weren't expecting what we lived. So if you didn't grow last year in your personal life, in the way you see life, and the way you plan to continue with your plan of life, your purpose, your meaning, everything you do, then maybe it wasn't worthy enough. So how do you see the new normal, infamous new normal that we all talk about? How do you see the new normal impacting our mission?
Sure. I would say the main thing is just a renewed sense of urgency. We are not in a rush by any means. I know we do a lot because the problem demands that. However, we really have a sense of urgency to solve the problem now. There are people who are living in poverty, people that are homeless, people that were laid off, individuals that are overlooked for promotions at their companies, some companies that have a toxic culture. Right? There's some companies that are doing more harm than good. Some companies are lost and don't know what to do. So the issue is real, right? The issue is alive and well. So because of that, we just have a sense of urgency to partner with as many people as possible, engage with individuals as many as we can, because they are the ones that we're looking to support, that we're looking to help. So the main thing for us is building the team, as you see, right, Patty, building the team, bringing new people on board, bringing more partners to the workforce development ecosystem, and figuring out what's work, right? And we're not just here in Austin, right? Our COO is out in New York. We have employer partners in California and Portland. We have Automites in Florida that are taking our programs, right? So, we're showing people this is the movement. The movement has legs, and we're going across state lines. And, hopefully I'll be able to say some things that we're going across or overseas as well, but that's a whole nother conversation. So what I'm really focusing on right now is that we have a sense of urgency. We have a job to do. If you're ready to do the work, great, let's do it, because there's probably a way that we can work with you. And if Autumn is not the right one for you, it's no problem. We're going to connect you with our partners, right? We're going to connect you with Workforce Solutions. We're going to connect you with Austin Freenet. We're going to connect with American Youth Works. We're going to connect you with Mission Capital, right? Whatever partner you want, great, let's talk about it. We can make those connections because we want to solve the problem. That is ultimately what we want to do. And we're not looking to play lip service to the problem. We're looking to move forward and do what we need to do.
So clearly our mission is very simple, and you're very straightforward when you talk about that. And I love that because that's going to allow us to just literally focus on the main problem. We have another question, and I think, it's actually another question from Susan. She's asking, can you talk about the availability and access to capital investment for entrepreneurs of color?
Yeah, so I'm not going to deny that the access to funding is definitely limited across the board. And I think that a lot of us can agree on that just based on stats. What I can say from a personal experience is, especially here in Austin, don't bark up the wrong tree. And I know that when we were first looking for funding, or in the early stages of looking for funding, there's specific conversation that we would have with individuals. And we have extended conversations, and not just one, not just two, 3 or 4 conversations, sometimes 5 or 6. And based on my experience at Oracle, I know it takes some time to close a deal, right? It takes time to close relationships and to build. However, if you're having several different conversations with individual to solve a problem, then you should be able to work together in order to solve the problem, especially if having capital is not a need in order to have the problem, in order to solve the problem or to move forward. However, not everybody is looking at the problem the same way. A lot of individuals that I say entrepreneurs go to for funding, they're just going to the wrong people that aren't the right audience, right? There's a lot of people that do want to do the work. There's many organizations that have the funding. They just are either pigeonholing themselves about where the funding is, and might need to have different partnerships in order to open up more funding opportunities. So definitely promote grants, but don't go after small dollar amount grants that are wrapped in white supremacy. Like, don't do that. Go after larger, multi-year grants that automatically align with what you're doing and value your reputation, right? I would definitely focus on contracts, right? You could get funding that way in order to do the work that you're wanting to do. It depends on where you are in the level of your business, right? The type of funding you go after. But the main thing that I would say is that there is split pickings. However, there are individuals that are out there and companies that do want to support your cause, whatever those causes are. You just have to find those individuals and tell your story that aligns with them based on your mission. So if you are focusing on education, target on everybody that does education, right? If you focus on food insecurity, target those that do, food insecurity. So follow the money, leverage the money for what it's supposed to do, and then build on that will be my recommendation.
That's a really good answer. We have another question. This is from Denise Manalo. Denise is asking, can you talk about allyship, non-Black Hispanic, and intersectionally women neurodiverse as it relates to promoting STEAM activity on behalf of AUTM stakeholders? How does AUTM engage these folks to contribute towards achieving its goals?
Sure. So that's an easy question. I'll just separate that. The only program that we have is specifically for Blacks and Hispanics is our AUTM Horizons program. So our AUTM Horizons program provides opportunities for Black and Hispanic employees to share their story with Black and Hispanic learners, right? So they can see themselves in the industry. Because when I was growing up, when I went to school, and I went to UNC, University of North Carolina, so shout out to all my Tar Heels, I never saw a Black tech individual. Like, I never saw a Black sales individual or an account executive or a field agent. Like, I had no idea what that was, right? The only connection I had to sales was a car salesperson, and that was about it. Even though I had some previous sales experience, I wasn't thinking about it from a tech standpoint. So AUTM Horizons provides that opportunity for people that are just like me to actually say, okay, I can actually see myself inside this space because that individual looks like me. And that's AUTM Horizons. And that addresses the lack of exposure and a lack of adoption of just tech skills or tech interests for our community members, because technology is not passed throughout our generation for the most part. However, outside of AUTM Horizons, we engage with all employees, all individuals, regardless of their ethnicity, through our other programming, whether it's through mentorship. So individuals that are looking to be either a life coach, so just really guide people through life as an adult, or as a student, or as a lifelong learner. That's one mentorship option. We also have occupational mentors. So if you have an expertise in a very specific skill set, whether it's software developing, IT support, digital marketing, UX design, you name it, we connect you with our AUTMites that are going through our programs, or even members of our community that are just looking for mentorship. So we connect you on the mentorship side. We also have our events. We have AUTM events all the time. We're actually planning another event on July 31st, which is Rethink Austin. So we engage with individuals in the community through our events in order for them to share their expertise and share their journey on a larger scale that adds to the program that we have at that time. So we have volunteer opportunities with mentorship. Some individuals also facilitate and lead our cohorts, depending on their expertise and their schedule. Some are able to give, an hour a week, some give an hour a month. It just really depends on what matches with that individual. But there's many different ways for us to engage with them through any type of volunteer opportunities, mock interviews, salary negotiation. I mean, you name it. We do engage with volunteers on several different levels in order for them to really be able to connect with our communities, but then also for us to learn more about their company, right? There are several initiatives that their company have that we want to align with so that we can add value for the employer and then also add value to our community.
That's a great answer. And we have one more question, but I think this is going to be the last one. And I do want to say that if anyone else has more questions, they can always send them over to our contact email address. It's actually showing and it's scrolling down. It's on the banner. It says contact@autumntexas.org. So you can always send those questions. Excuse me. So the last question we have is from Lalo again. Lalo is asking, do you know of any opportunities for IT entrepreneurs who haven't mastered a skill set? Maybe even for the people that have a novice or intermediate skill set.
Sure. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by opportunities. So I'm going to answer this in multiple ways. So the first is we have our job board. On our job board, it's free to access. We have internships, full-time jobs, contract and part-time jobs on our job board. So that's the first place I would look for if you're just looking for that next opportunity. That's one. Secondly, if you're looking for training opportunities, we provide full scholarships for anyone going through our programs. So you can engage with us and then we can help you master that skill set. We have a certificate program in IT support. We have one in IT support with Python automation. We also have CompTIA certifications. So whichever skill set you want to master, we can assist you with developing those skills in order to get to the next level. And then you said that the last thing is just either novice or intermediate skill sets. Then for that, I would recommend apprenticeship program, which is an option that we have. There's other apprenticeship programs that are also out there across the state of Texas. And right now, the state of Texas is really big on apprenticeships. So you can find one in that aspect. But if there's something specific that you're looking for, please reach out to us. You can go to our website and our program director will guide you through the process. And like I said, if we're not a good fit, then we will connect you with other partners because there's other people inside this space that are also doing things.
So basically, we are a great resource for all of those options that he's asking, and any other person that may have those types of questions. If they're looking for job opportunities, we have a job board. It's just a matter of coming to the website, autumntexas.org, and you're going to find a lot of resources there, right?
Yeah, and I'll just say that if you're looking to start a business around that skill set, we can have another conversation on that because depending on where you are, because when we're not at that level, so I would probably connect you with other incubators, other accelerators that are inside that space. But it depends on where you are, and we can have that conversation and make those connections.
That's awesome. So, Michael, we're running out of time, and I do have something that I want to ask you. I want you to tell me what is the most rewarding part of doing all this. Just within your words, what would you consider to be like a big accomplishment or what actually is the rewarding part of all this?
The number one thing that comes to mind for me on my side as I think about, why I do the work that I do or, what's the most impactful part is seeing progress, right? And seeing the lives of individuals that we engage with, right? One individual was homeless, sleeping in his car, went through our training program. Now he graduated and now he's working in the telehealth tech industry and looking to continue doing great things, right? And this person was also a veteran. Right. So it checks off multiple buckets based on the people that we have. Another individual was going through our program, lost his job during COVID because he didn't agree with what the company was doing around COVID, and they were not taking the necessary parameters or precautions needed to protect the business. And therefore he was let go because of his voice of his concern. And he had to provide for his family. Right. He's a man of the house. He has a wife. He has a kid. It just lost his job. Didn't have a computer to do anything. So he really felt hopeless. Right. He was connected with Autumn. We gave him a computer. He graduated our program. We wanted to connect him with a job. He's like, actually, I much want to continue going through our programs because I'm able to now do some more things with this laptop. So it just really opens up, opportunities for people. And when I get messages or emails saying, thank you for what you're doing, continue doing the great work, when people shout out our program director, Issa White, for what she's doing, or our COO, Clifford Dukes, people see the work that we're doing, right? And we have a marathon, so it's not going to happen overnight. But when I just see the impact in people's lives and where they're going versus where they were, it's a great accomplishment. And that's really why we do what we're doing. And that's why Autumn's a 501c3 and not a for-profit company, right? Like, we're looking to address the lives of the community. We're looking to address this problem. We're looking to move forward and do what's necessary in order to really create the ecosystem that we're looking for. And a true ecosystem supports everyone in the ecosystem, right? Like that's what an ecosystem is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be selective or discriminatory. So therefore, we're looking to really reshape what that ecosystem looks like so we can have more individuals engaged.
Michael, is there anything that you would like to add before we end this conversation today? I do have to say, I'm going to disconnect from the Instagram, but I appreciate everyone joining us today. I'm going to have to cut, but if you want to see what's next and what he is going to say, Michael Ward, our CEO and president of AUTM, the organization, the Austin Urban Technology Movement, please go to our Facebook or to our YouTube and you'll find the whole video. Thank you very much for joining.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the last thing that I'll say on my side, Patty, as I just really think through what needs to be done. There you go. Yeah. So the last thing that I'll just say, as I really just think through everything and what really needs to be done, please play your role, everybody. That's the last thing that I'll say, right? If you're an employer, great, offer jobs, right? Provide resources, provide funding, provide personnel. If you're an individual contributor, be engaged with our programming, right? Mentor, volunteer, attend our events. Let us know what's missing, right? You're an expert in your field, right? You have life experiences. We want to leverage that. We want to tell your story. So please reach out to us. If you're an organization, let's partner. If you're an institution, let's partner, right? And if you're a governmental agency, let's talk about them policies. Let's talk about these initiatives that support the work that we're doing and other individuals that are doing as well. So the last thing that I'll say is, everybody, please play your role, hold each other accountable, because the only way that we're going to be able to get through this problem and actually eliminate the skills gap, that's a hefty goal, right? But in order for us to actually do that, we just need to do it together. And there's plenty of resources and plenty of opportunities out there. We just need to do a better job breaking down silos, over communicating, over collaborating, and overly being consistent, right? In order to really solve the problem. So that's the last thing that I say. So thank you all so much for your time, Patty. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to doing these some more.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure for me and a privilege. I do want to add just to what you were saying. Let's all be upstanders and raise our hand and do something about the situation, because there's a lot of people who actually have faith in us, and we're going to be helping them. I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a lot of those rewarding experiences that you just mentioned. Michael, thank you so much for the time. And yes, stay tuned, everyone, because we're going to keep on doing these talks. And once again, if you guys have questions that you would like for us to answer, you can send them over to our contact email. I just shared it with you, or you can just interact with us during our live. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.